every artist should be trying to do whatever they can to help grow everything other than themselves. It's not all about you. You know,
Ooh.
your career, like everyone's music career, and artists need to learn about this, bro, because it's like your career is short lived. It's a young man's game. It's
Mm.
true. You know, how many guys do you really see doing this at 40 years old? So don't feel like you're too big to go and do something with these up and
Oh,
coming platforms. You know what I mean?
that's that's gonna hit some people. That's
Bro,
gonna hit
because
some
it's all
people.
comes around. It's all karma because at the end of the day, bro, like
Rolling up entertainment.
What's good, beautiful people? Daniel Monch here from Rolling Up Entertainment, a platform to showcase creative's truth. And it's a pleasure to connect you to individuals with different ideas, insight, and stories to elevate your thought. I would first like to welcome back all the listeners. We hope you and your families are keeping well in these really strange times. Though, nonetheless, we're going to jump into this podcast. Today, we have a virtual guest, an individual representing massive waves in the Brisbane creative scene. He supported Tyga in his Australian tour. He's the co-owner of 6 Degrees Studios. Not only is he an imperial leader within Brisbane hip hop, he's the co-founder of a group on the rise, Imperial Collective. The individual to establish the term 4K. It's an honor to welcome Kei Leeza to today's podcast.
what's up, bro? How are you?
I am incredible, bro. Let's get it. I'm excited. I'm hyped. We're back in business.
I'm super excited, man. I'm glad to be here.
Look, man, before jumping into your introduction, you know what? Even before, it's so interesting to connect with someone that's interstate because this is our first online podcast. So
Oh,
connect you to
perfect.
people around Australia, not only in Melbourne, but around Australia is going to be good. I'm excited. Before jumping into Brisbane music culture and Imperial Collective, I feel like there's a ton of your story, man. And I want to dive into the 4K and the story behind that. Where were you when that idea first came into fruition, man?
Man, well, we were like, this has to be like 2015, I'd say. Um, and there was just a lot of names going around for Brisbane. You know, there was a
Mm.
lot of different names, different nicknames, but it was just nothing that was resonating with us. And me and my boy Don Sue were trying to think like, man, what's a name? What's a phrase that we can call the city? And you know, a lot came to be. We ran through a couple of different names, and then um, it was actually Don Sue who was like, "Yo, we need to call it the 4K," and I'm like, "Yo, like the 4K? Like we know
Wow.
that's the postcode for Brisbane, yeah. Like we
Yeah.
knew it was the postcode for Brisbane, but how far does it stretch?" And then we realized, obviously that represents not only the city alone, but the state, And for me, like that was important. It's always important to represent not only where you're from, but represent all that there is from where you're from. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, for sure.
for me, it was like it was important. Now, like like
So
4K.
were you
It's not
guys the first
only.
one to establish that name?
I believe so. I
Yeah.
know. There's been a lot of like other cities saying like Perth 6K, and I've seen the 3K in Melbourne.
Mm.
When we did 4K, I didn't see anyone else do it. I'm not gonna say we were the first ones to do it in the
Yeah, sure.
country because I don't know, but I know from when we came up with 4K, we didn't see anything else that was,
Mm.
going and doing it. So like for us, we took that like those two came up with 4K and we just ran with it from day one. And a lot of people locally didn't want to get behind it. Like,
Why
I
is
mean,
that?
we're talking about this is
Yeah, why is that?
uh it might have been just like like when you're on the come up, there's just that little bit of
No
friction there where
friction.
it's like everyone's trying to carve out their lane, and when you're younger like that, you it's about you. And if it's not
Mm.
about you, then it's that's something
That's
else.
everything
So
else.
I think,
So
yeah, and
yeah,
then in the last year or two, it's just like blown up. Like I feel like 4K is just the name itself has blown up within the city and outside of the city. Like, I've done like interviews on Sydney radio stations, and that they'll say like Kei Leeza from the 4K, and it's like I didn't run them through that, or I didn't tell them about what the name is, but they know it, so I feel like it really is the name of the city.
Hell yeah, and it's dope that you're the one to hold that and say, yo, we run with it. We essentially started it. We ran with it first, or at least represented it and pushed that name even between your close friends. And now
Yeah, 100%.
anyone that's from the city that loves hip hop will like, yo, I'm from the 4K.
Yeah,
And like
yeah,
the
it's
idea that you'd be able
amazing.
to, that's awesome, bro.
Yeah,
So
it's definitely like you pinch yourself and be like, wow, like this is developing into something.
yeah, and I do want to touch on how that has influenced the whole Brisbane scene. Now, before we get into that, I want to go to the root before we go to the fruit, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's speak on your influence on music, man. And
yeah.
like who did you look up to within creativity before
Man,
all of this, man?
yeah. Where I really started out trying to be like a childhood superstar. Like I I say this in every interview, and I'm never ashamed of it, bro. Like I watched Like Mike, I seen Little Bow Wow, and I wanted to be Little Bow Wow in every facet of who Little Bow Wow was. Like I wanted to be an actor in movies. I wanted to be a rapper. Like this is some young 10, 11-year-old kid, and he's out there rapping with Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. Like, are you kidding me? Like what kid doesn't want that? So for me, at that age, I was, maybe a couple years younger. I think I was 9 or 10, and I asked my mom. I was like, "Yo, like, what do I have to do to be Little
Really?
Bow Wow?"
Wow.
Yeah, and she was just like, like if you want to do like, with movies, you probably need to, you need to learn how to act. You need to find the right people. That's kind of something else. But like, if you want to do music, you should probably learn how to write music or make music.
And what age
So
was this? What age was this?
it was probably like when I was around the age of 10, 11. So from then, I was writing, but like, some people say that, like, let's be real. Like a lot of people say they were writing at that age, but like, what were you really writing? It's not songs, like for me, I was like writing verses. I was writing like, I was just fully,
You were out here writing some Valentine's Day love letters, bro. That's what
yeah,
you were writing, bro.
I was fully, I was just getting immersed in what was going on. So each year, like, I developed throughout those years of like, the biggest artists in those years, and just like emulating them, and, learning the style of writing, learning what metaphors are, learning what double entendres are, learning what, similes are, learning syllables, like all these things that are important into writing lyrics and having flow. So like, early on, I remember being a fan of Big Sean when he was like in his mixtape days, like before, like I'm talking about like 2010, 2010,
Yeah, I definitely didn't hear a Big
2011.
Sean back then, bro. That's for sure.
Yeah. So for me, it's just like I've been influenced by everything, and then I'm a student of the game, so I went back. I check out the 80s and 90s. I check out people like Wu-Tang, and I'll check out people like Nas, and I'll check out people like old school Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt, and
I can see how that's developed. I can see how that's developed as well, because you definitely dive into different sounds, and you're willing to try anything new. How,
100%.
as progressing as an artist, how are you able to develop the confidence to dive into new areas as for Kei Leeza as an artist? Like, how did you even overcome those initial fears to dive into different sounds and different areas of hip hop and for music in general and creativity, man?
Yeah, I think it comes from like, even like, I think a lot of artists from here will say that it's like, it just, you have no fear of doing it because your journey to do music is already different to what is known around here.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? So like when you tell someone you're trying to be an artist or a rapper here, especially when I was like, especially in 2012, 2013, it's like, what do you mean? Like, who does that? Yeah. And then when you think about who was doing it at those times, it was, it was full on Australian hip hop. Like it was the 360 days. It's like the Cursor days. It's like the Pez days and Hilltop Hoods and Illy and all these. It's like, where's the comparison? Where do you like? There's nowhere to connect.
There's no. They're like, wait, but you're trying to rap, but
like,
come on, bro, not here,
like,
not here, bro.
You're like this artist from Brisbane, Australia, and you want to make hip hop music and be a rapper, and then everything Australian is like these guys that don't even look or sound like you,
Mm.
and then there's no one else that's done it. So like for me, or like and coming from having the background that I am, being my ethnicity, you're already different at school.
Mm.
There's things that like where you get to and you're like, people like, I don't know, maybe I'm just thick skinned, but for me, it's like people don't like me because of how I look. People don't like me because of my skin color. So like, if someone doesn't
Yeah,
like
it's
my
there.
song,
It's there.
it
It's
doesn't
true.
bother me. Yeah,
It's true, bro.
for
What do
me,
you
I
like
just
for sure?
realized. Yeah, for me,
It's
I
out
just
there.
realized like you're not gonna please everyone anyway. There's not one thing or one song or one decision you'll make where everyone in the world is gonna be like, "You're right for that." It'll never happen.
So
It can never happen.
how does someone come to terms with that when they're constantly taking in people's inputs of like, yeah, people's opinion essentially? How does one
It's
like get through that wall
yeah,
or get over it more so?
it's hard. It's really hard. You know, I think people can get through that, but then there's also like someone that they're trying to seek approval or acceptance from. So like you could not care about everyone else, but then getting through that thing where like someone that you're like trying to seek the acceptance or approval of,
Mm.
once you don't get that, that's almost like you're going through it all over
God
again. So
damn. God damn.
yeah,
That's true. So growing through this, obviously you're different. Who comes to mind when you hear this word? Because it's something that obviously if anyone listens to your music, they'll know how much this means to you. But who comes to your mind when you hear this word different?
um, I think of people like Jay-Z. I think of a guy that was trying to get his first label deal, had an album fully ready, fully packaged together for a label to distribute, and they didn't want to distribute it. And here he is in like 1996, and he
Nuts.
starts his own record label with two of his partners, and they just put out a music label, put out this whole album independently by himself. I think of like guys like that. I think of guys like Nipsey Hussle, who goes and makes $100 mixtape, gets out of his deal because his deal isn't working out, and then he puts out $100 mixtape, and then goes opens up a retail store like Crenshaw and Slauson. You know what I mean? Like for
Mm.
me, it's like I think of like making music's one thing, but like when you're shifting the culture, when you're teaching and when you're showing the next generation there's other ways and different avenues than everyone else that
Yes,
what was in
100%.
front of you, then it's
100%.
like it's different. Like
Yeah, and I feel like
it's
that's
completely
I
different.
feel like that's
So
what's happening, not to obviously the highest level of US hip hop, but to the lower progressive for Australian hip hop. It's a complete culture change right now, bro. It's all changing up. And people like yourself, people that like platforms like this, we're trying to change the culture of what Australian hip hop looks like, and for the next generation, for what they're hearing, who they're going to be looking up to. It's gonna be nuts,
100%,
man. So
100%.
you posted a tweet a while back saying it's all about character before narrative. What did you exactly mean by that, bro?
Man, like for me, people can tell me all the things about you. Like especially you gotta think in certain opportunities with a lot of things. Um, people are gonna tell you a lot about someone. They're gonna tell you, like he's dope, like this is what he does. He's got this over here, he's working over here, he's a family guy, he's this, he's that. But then at the end of the day, you still have to meet that person. And that's a
Mm.
whole different thing. What the narrative people put upon you is one thing, but is that gonna reflect the same when they meet you in person? And it's like so vital. It's so
The
vital.
way I hear that is like you cannot be consistent with who are you with who you are consistently, not meaning eventually the truth is going to come out.
a hundred
Whether people
percent,
like
a hundred
hyping you up,
percent,
people are hyping you up, but you meet him in person, that
a hundred
truth of that
percent,
person is eventually going to come up, and the truth always wins.
100%. Like you can write your story every single time, but it doesn't mean it all adds up and that's who you are. Like it just doesn't. Like you can like I fear for a lot of like young artists. Hopefully, like diving into a deeper subject, like trying to portray something they're not, trying to portray some street character or someone that's in that lifestyle. I really like hope they adjust, because like if you go down that path and you're not cut from that cloth, you're gonna run into some bad situations. Because once you do that, and you're I mean, the perfect example is 6ix9ine, right? Like, look at 6ix9ine. You can portray that story, but when it comes to be, what it all
What's
comes
gonna
to the
happen? What
light, bro.
happens? Yeah. What happens
Your true
then when you're
character
in
always
those tight spots, bro? Where it's
your true character always comes to the light. It can never not be that way. You can always twist the narrative, but you can never change the character.
I love that, bro. I love that. Now, speak on your relationship with Matt Noble, because this is an interesting connection that's allowed you both, I believe, to elevate from your sounds and together as artists and through your character. Speak on that relationship, man.
Oh man, it's like I said it a couple times. Like for me and him, it's like Shaq and Kobe. It's like Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. It's like Drake and 40. It's like we link up and we do everything. Like he's the guy that his I guess in a sense we're dreamers, but we're not only dreamers, we're doers. Like we dream it and we do it. And for me,
dreams. You say these are our dreams, though. These dreams are going to come into a reality.
Yeah.
It's not like we're dreaming for Tesla or something. It's like no. These are going to come true.
Yeah,
that's what I believe we need.
It's not a dream. Like it's a dream that is met with like dreams that are met with like what's the word, like dreams that are met with hustle. You know what I mean? It's dreams that are met with hustle. It's not just a dream. Yeah, there's an action that follows that dream. There's no like dream and then like, yeah, that'd be nice. It's like it's a dream and it's like, what do we do? How do we get this done? And it gets done. And that's what we always say whenever we're in a tight spot. It's like, it doesn't matter, we'll get done. Like we'll get it done. We get it done every time. So for me, it's like deeper than music. You know what I mean?
How do you guys elevate your action when one isn't, picking up? You're like, yo, come on, Matt, bro.
Yeah,
you're slipping,
bro. We're just
or the other way around.
On it, but we both know. It's more of an apology than before you call. Like I'll apologize before he has to call me out because I know, and it's the same way. And for us, it's like, we've been building this music, like musically, we've been building for a long time. And now obviously with 6 Degree Studios, we've been building for a long time. So it's like, my dream was always to make music and have a record label. I never knew having a studio space would be in the cards, but for me, it's like, it made like 10 times more sense. Like it makes equal amount of sense as having a label, is having a studio space.
So speaking having a running partner, like for anyone that doesn't, like, is this something you would recommend, or you're like, yo, this has been imperative to my growth to have someone that's next to me to essentially run, because the music game can be lonely if you're doing everything yourself, especially in a home studio now in 2020.
100%. I'd say, I feel like artists always feel like they need a producer or an engineer and a guy. I don't know if producers and engineers feel that way though. I really don't. But I don't want to, that's hard for me to say because I'm calling out every producer and engineer. Sure. But for me, it's like these producers and engineers, they should be picking some people out and being like, I believe this guy has a career, and I believe like, we can have a career together in this. You know what I mean? Like, because if you're a producer and you're just sending out beats, that's cool. But how much are you really developing if you're not working one-on-one with the artists? You're not developing that much.
How would a producer do that from, I guess, a visionary standpoint? Because people will follow where you're going and your vision. They won't always follow what you say and what you're going to do. Like you said before, your character.
Yeah.
So how do they essentially paint that vision for them, saying like, I see you here. This is where I see you. What do you think about that when you hear that?
It's hard to align those visions. And sometimes it's hard, like, sometimes it's even harder to get someone to believe in themselves when you believe in them. You know what I mean? So I think for you as a producer, if you pick out a guy and you're like, this rapper or this singer, like, this is my 1-2, then just show that. show that by your actions, show that by your actions 100%. Like, do more than what a producer would do, over deliver every single time,
Ooh.
And that's what the artist needs to do the same too. If that's their producer, like over deliver every single time.
All
You know
right,
what I mean?
speak on a story where you've had to, not had to, but you've over delivered, and what was the result coming from that?
Oh man, like over delivering for me, it's like
What's a
for
story
me,
you
it's
think
just
of that within music, whether even if it's outside of music, it doesn't have to be within music.
oh yeah, well, like that's simple, bro. It's just like just being there for someone as an actual person when it's outside of music, showing that you actually have genuine care for someone. Like this music business, it's fully relationship based. It's fully relationship based to do with everything, to do with the places you want to go, to do with the people you want to meet, to the opportunities you want to make, to getting people to believe in everything. They have to believe in your relationship too. So like I've had my people be in situations, and I said like, they might not have a place to stay. They come stay at my place. I've had guys be at my place for like a week. In the middle of a bunch of problems and a bunch of real life situations. So it's about doing those things. It's about showing real care.
I think that
showing
message is so important right now, especially during with COVID and everything happening right now. I'm not sure what the situation's like in Brisbane, but everyone around the world that's going to be listening to this, they're probably going through it, and they know that those relationships are so important, man. So important.
Yeah, it's about not asking every time to like for someone to do something. It's about helping them with something that you wouldn't usually help them with. I've seen like Chance the Rapper. Like I don't know if you know Chance the Rapper's
Yeah, for
manager,
sure.
Pat. Yeah, so like
I haven't heard
he
it.
was
No,
like,
no.
Okay, yeah. So
Oh,
Chance the
actually, yeah, Pat,
Rapper's
yeah,
manager,
Pat,
yeah. Like since like day one, like managed him. Like he's like any call that Chance makes, like I make sure that I do it. Like I over deliver. Like he called me one time just to help bring his Christmas tree into the house, and he's gonna do it. He's like, oh, why would I not? And that's what it means. Like it just means over delivering and doing the little things. The little things add up to the big things. Really, it is.
I like that.
Those hold more value. It holds more value to everyone.
Mm-hmm. I believe that too, man. So with this new track, I told you, was this an over delivery for you, man?
Yeah, for me, I was like, we did it, and I was like, I knew it was going to be something big. I knew it was going to be something bigger than like one of the biggest things that we had done to that point. And it was to launch everything. It launched Imperial into being not only a group now but a record label. So it
Let's
was
go.
yeah, it was huge to me, and I knew it when we did it, but it all happened so fast. Really, it really did.
Yeah, speak on what was something that brought that idea to even start a collective in the first place, bro? Like, what brought that to say, man, I'm gonna need some help, or let's gather up a bunch of people and start this thing?
For me, it was always like there's always strength in numbers every single time, and like like iron sharpens iron, like sword sharpens sword, So for me, it's like when you have guys next to you that you view as your peers and also as friendly competition, it just brings out the best in everyone, And once you're proud of what your brothers do, like the guys that beside you are doing as well, it motivates you,
And
like
how do you? No, go on, finish.
like seeing your competitors do things, it's a bit different. Like there can be jealous and envy there. And to me, jealous and envy doesn't do anything. So when you're actually next to some peers that you are building this with and you're seeing them get wins, then you start to think in your head, like, I know, like they are where I am. They like 6 months ago, we're in the same studio making that music. So like, if he's here now, then I can be there too. But when you see some other guy, some competition, and he might be from Sydney or from wherever else, and you compare, you start to just hate. that's how some people can be. You know, there's jealous and envy there, and there's all excuses. But when it's the guy next to you, there's no excuse. You've seen him from day one. You've seen his whole progression. So it's different.
And you, yeah. Every time I hear it's different, it rings differently, man. I think that's gonna forever change.
Yeah.
Is it the same for you every time you say it? Because obviously it holds
say it
a
to me all the
real
time
meaning.
too. Yeah, people say it to me all the time too. People always say it to me. It's like the ad lib now. I can't do a song without doing it now. You know, and people love to just say it to me whenever. And if I say it, like you said,
you've got me onto it, bro.
Yeah, if I say it, people just react. So it's funny.
Now you said like iron sharpens iron, having that person right next to you. How do you even how do you discover people's strengths now within your team? You said you have a bunch of numbers. How are you as a leader finding people's strengths and even providing guidance as a leader?
I mean, the hardest part as a leader that everyone needs to realize is like what's good for you isn't good for everyone. That's the hardest part. And you only know that like the longer you do it. And what works for this artist doesn't work for that artist, you know? So you gotta realize what they're doing without thinking about it. You know what? You need to like stay out of their way as much as possible and see what is comfortable for them, what's comfortable to them, you know? Like you need to figure out what they're doing when there's no eyes on them, you know, without like what are they doing without thinking about if so-and-so will like this or so-and-so will like this. Yeah,
like without micromanaging.
When they feel free, then you know what works for them, you know. When they just doing things, that's when you know what works for them. Me, I'm not a TikTok guy, you know, like I don't like like I don't go on TikTok, you know, but like my guys, they love TikTok. And for me, it's like, all right, I see my weakness and I see their strength, and I'm like, yo, can you run the Imperial Collective TikTok? Because it's like I'm not good at that. So it's like that's what they're good at, you know? Yeah. And I'm not gonna get someone like Vega, who's a part of our crew, that just bars out for 3 minutes. I'm not gonna get him on TikTok because that doesn't translate on TikTok. Nah. So I'm gonna get him to do like IGTV. I'm gonna get him to do YouTube, and I'm gonna let him really develop on that because that's what's good for his content and what he does, you know. So it's just about finding what people want to do without preconceived notions on what's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely forming the team and cementing the team in different type of roles to their fit. What have been some integral moments for the team, like over from 2015 to obviously developing new people coming in and out of the team? What have been some like real integral moments for the team to elevate yourself to where you guys are now and gonna shoot off and roll up? Like, what have been some of those moments, man?
Sorry, you cut out a little bit. You're just a little bit in the middle of it.
Yeah, what have been some integral moments throughout 2015 to now to allow the team to elevate and roll up?
I think definitely would just be definitely the means to record with the studio space, you know. Definitely with 6 Degree Studios, that was pivotal into like having us have access like whenever we need to record and make new music. And I think it's just, I really do think it starts, like for me, I've developed everything so it starts with the artist, because nothing benefits if the artist doesn't benefit. Like if the artist isn't benefiting or feels like they're benefiting, then it doesn't matter what management doing, your record label's doing. It doesn't matter if the artist isn't flourishing or they're not benefiting. So for me, it's always about what does the artist want to do? And that has to be the model for every label moving forward or any management.
How is Imperial Collective cementing themselves now and for the years to come? What are you guys doing that are doing, like you said, differently to provide that longevity, man?
For us, it's about music first, and that's it. Like I feel like a lot of things that's getting traction right now is very much it doesn't have much to do with the musical content, and I'm fine with that. You know, for me, it's like we you know, we want to be known for music. We want to be known for bars. We want to be known for lyricism. We want to be known for making timeless music that, you know, withstands the test of time, you know. So for me, I believe our talent is like not just some here today, gone tomorrow talent. We're here, like we're getting better with our writing ability. And for us, it's like what we're known for is bars. What we're known for is true lyricism, true, like, you know, crazy flows, all that, you know, and in different ways. Everyone's completely original to them. So for me, like 2021 is gonna be real. Like we're opening up the floodgates, and it's like, I don't know, I don't want to, like, for me, I just want it to be shown in 2021. But like for me, it's like we're not slowing down on putting out music. It's like there might be a new Imperial song, like very often. You know, for me, I told the guys, like, for us, it's like, let's just put everything out as much as possible. Because for me, we're not trying to, there's no holding to an image. Our image is who we are. And, you know, we're very, like, we show integrity in what we do, and we're known for bars. That's why there's a whole department that was dedicated to battle rap. You know, someone that you know, who's Ted, he's a battle rap, and he's only a battle rapper. Like he's known to do this. Like he's going to the UK for battle rap. Like Vegas going to the UK to North America for battle rap. Like these guys are well respected in that craft, and that's what I know that we're gonna be known for. Is
so how does it when you have your, because you do have battle rappers that are now in the progression stage of essentially rebranding individuals within the team to become recording artists. What was the point where you realized this is going to be extremely beneficial and to make them into recording artists? Not make them into, more so allow them to record and rebrand, because there is the big divide, I'm sure, like you would know, between battle rap and recording artists.
Yeah. I think like I knew immediately once I heard them on record. Like someone like Vega, he started out doing, like, Vega and Bills, they started out doing both straight away. And someone like Bronson, he didn't start out doing both straight away, but I'm sure he had been, you know, writing to beats as well. So for me, it was like, it was kind of like, for me, it was what we were, me personally with my selection, I was looking at guys that could really rap. I was never looking for anything else but that. So I knew it was going to work immediately, you know? And my whole standpoint from that comes from just like, who exceeds their generation of talent? And it's always the people that can write real lyricism. People like Kendrick Lamar, people like J. Cole, people like Drake, people like Kanye West, people like Jay-Z. And then we're going to talk about guys, you know, there's plenty of acts in the 2000s that they're not here today. Heaps of guys in 2010 that ain't here today. You know what I mean? So I know what stands the test of time. I know what gives like 15 to 20 years of a career in this music thing. And it's definitely lyricism. You know what I mean? So
that's hard. That's truth. That's truth. That's truth right there, bro.
But for me,
immediately come into Nas and hear people like listening to it till date. And
I mean, right, Nas' first album was before, I'm sure both, like, it was the year before I was born, 93. He just dropped that album this year. You know what I mean? That's 27 years of doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And who knows, like, we say 27, but it's probably 30. Like, it probably took him 3 years of like being in New York, like rocking out on the stages with just a mic and a DJ and just rocking out in Queensbridge. You know what I mean? So like, for me, I know what this is in our climate too. In Australia in 2020, it's like 1980 US right now. Like that's the comparison. We're not anywhere near.
So do you feel like you just not from an ego point of like standpoint, but do you feel like you're essentially just laughing right now because you have this vision that's you got that 2020 vision essentially where you're like, I know,
yeah,
it's already done, like I know.
Yeah, I for me, it's always just a matter of time. It's always just a matter of time. I'm never worried about I'm on my own race. I don't look sideways or backwards. I just do, you know, just tunnel vision, you know. For me, it's like 2030, you know.
How
do
did you
things that's gonna.
how did you develop that?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I never bought into the little things, I guess. You know, I never bought into the little things. You know,
Was there
the
a
most
moment in
money I ever.
time when you did buy into those little things and you kind of ended up looking sideways? I'm like, damn, where am I?
Maybe maybe when I felt like for me, my turning point was like, for right now, I'm 20, I'm 26 right now. So for me, it was like when I was 19 to 21, that was like real, like the in between moment. But when I turned 21, I knew what I wanted to do.
Oh,
So
damn,
I've
you and
been
me
doing this
both,
for
bro.
5 years.
Both.
Yeah, you know, I've been doing this. I've been doing this for a long time, and for me, I do it for free. So the fact that I can get a little bit of money out of it now,
That's
it's
cream on
nothing
top.
to me. I truly love this, you know. Yeah,
I was saying
everything's
that just
just
cream on
like I
top.
said to you before with this podcast. Yeah, like I was saying to you about this podcast, it's like I don't look for anything like the win isn't like what comes out of this podcast. It's just the fact of doing this podcast. That's the win. Anything else is a bonus. For me, I just love to have the platforms to be able to do things.
What do you
I'm not
currently
here for
see
like
within Brisbane, like Brisbane media in terms of platforms for artists?
there's not enough, and I mean, we're hoping to change that with 6 degrees. You know, I'm definitely hoping to change that with 6 degrees. Like, I want to make that into, it's the go-to studio in Brisbane for sure. Like, if you want studio time, you go to Brisbane. But I want it to be thought of as like a network and a platform where like an artist wants to go up and freestyle there. They want to get on a podcast there. So for me, you know, this year was developing into that go-to studio. Next year and the years to come is about how do we, you know, do the podcast? How do we give these artists a platform? How do we give like artists a proper press run where they're like, you know, like so and so's got an EP out and they're like, well, we'll go here in these cities, and then Brisbane, you know, we can go to 6 Degree Studios and we can do that. And it's like,
Be
it
that
just
center,
for me,
that center hub for Brisbane
yeah, for
music.
me, it's like for me, it's just about giving that platform to everyone within the city and outside of the city.
Now, if you were to start Imperial Collective again, what would be your primary focus? Like you're starting off, you got your like first individual homies coming on board. What is your focus at the moment? What is your tunnel vision?
Man, for me, it's like what I said before. It's always about what the artist wants to do. It's always dictated by them, and it's just about like lending ideas, you know, and showing like there might be some adjustments that could be made to make it better. I wouldn't really change, and I don't have any regrets from it because a lot of the members from when we started it are still within the camp, you know. They're still within Imperial, and anyone that has left, there's never been any bad blood. Like I still got good relationships with everyone that has been a part of Imperial. And bro, like we haven't had anyone, you know, we've had three guys there's only been three guys that have ever left Imperial. They're like two of them, they don't do any music anymore, but we talk. Like there's no bad blood. And there's only one guy left and he's an artist and he's still making music, which is Eric Sanders. Shout out to Eric Sanders. And you know, like, and it's all love. I see it like it's not like, so for me, I don't want to, there's nothing for me to change because there's never been like a major hiccup where I've been like, oh man, like that was
a bad move.
Something that went wrong. Yeah, that was something that went wrong there. Like for me, it's just been smooth. And for me, it's like probably because I always want the artist to do what the artist wants to do.
For sure. Now, within the whole Brisbane scene, obviously you're a leader. You want to create this whole hub of Brisbane, which I'm keen to see. It's going to be amazing. You have a bird's eye view of everything happening there in regards to creatives, media, and now being in the game for a progressive amount of time. What do you believe have been the biggest challenges, not for yourselves, but for the scene in general?
Definitely the platforms and the relationships has been the hardest thing in Brisbane. I mean, we didn't have that. We didn't have I mean, it's not, I don't say it because it's mine either, but we didn't have a studio to go to like that. We didn't have a space. And I'm sure like a lot of other cities can relate to it too. But you know, a lot of these younger guys, they're not gonna understand it straight away. But yeah, like I think having the means to make music was hard here, and still I think having the relationships is hard because obviously we know where the main, you know, the main relationships in this industry are like based in Sydney and Melbourne. So um, you know, in Brisbane, you didn't have the people at certain, you know, you didn't get to rub shoulders with the real people in the industry that are, you know, working at Spotify or Apple Music or you know,
So
at
forth.
these
Yeah.
labels and things of that nature, you know, and obviously the platforms are better and more developed in Sydney and Melbourne. So it's definitely just having the resources and the relationships that are, you know, required within the industry. But I think we all know that there needs to be more platforms as a whole in Australia, you know.
So when you see Rolling Up, for instance, what do you think? What comes to mind when you do see these platforms emerge?
When I see them emerge, man, I'm just excited because it's what is required for every like for me, everything is required, you know, like there's nothing that should be left out. Everything that like the US, the UK and that have to have their scene flourish, we need it. You know, we need the Hot 97s, we need the J Bottom podcasts, we need the Kendrick Lamars, we need the Top Dog Entertainments, we need the
We
Universal
need the
Music
Rolling
Groups.
Up
Like,
entertainments, bro.
yeah, exactly. Like, and that's what is gonna. These are what everything's gonna develop into. You know what I mean? Rolling Up Entertainment is gonna be something to be. You know, like for right now. You know, in 3-4 years, this is gonna be a goal for someone.
Boom.
For like a young 14, 15-year-old kid, they're gonna be like, man, what do I need to do to get on Rolling Up Entertainment? And that's what's gonna happen. You know, and it needs to happen. You know, and every artist should be trying to do whatever they can to help grow everything other than themselves. It's not all about you. You know, your career, like everyone's music career, and artists need to learn about this, bro, because it's like your career is short-lived. It's a young man's game. It's true. You know, how many guys do you really see doing this at 40 years old? So don't feel like you're too big to go and do something with these up and coming platforms. You know what I mean?
That's gonna hit some people. That's
Bro,
gonna hit
because
some
it all
people.
comes around. It's all karma. Because at the end of the day, bro, like if you love music, I mean, I don't know. I think the hardest thing with artists is they're so artsy and they're so short term minded, and it's always personal. It's always personal. It's always what's is best for them. It's always personal. So for them, they do all these wrong moves now, and they don't realize that maybe 10 years from now, they didn't want to just be an artist. They want to have a label. But now they fuck things up because they said no to Rolling Up Entertainment podcasts. And now they're trying to get their new artists on. And now you remember, he didn't want to come on my podcast. Why would I do anything with him? Like he just wants it now. Because it all comes around, bro. It just does.
When an individual is unconsciously thinking, you know, short term, they're obviously not thinking long term, and they're doing it unconsciously. How does one get out of that? That's a real heavy question.
Yeah, you just need to start. You need to take yourself out of it. Like you need to take yourself out of that situation. You know, like you need to start looking at things. Like for me, I think I always look at things in a third perspective. You know what I mean? Every time. You know, like for instance, like if I feel like a song should have got more love potentially on a platform or this platform, that's because I did the song. But when you take yourself out of third perspective, then you need to realize what that person needs to do at that platform and what their job is. Then you realize like there's more to this than just me having more. You know, there's what that person needs to do their job. You know, and it's give and take, and you need to take yourself and not make it so personal and feel like, you know, someone's doing you wrong because you didn't get your way. It's just a childish mentality, you know.
So what's been a moment where you've had that, I guess, fear of rejection?
Man, I think I defeated that. I'm gonna be honest, bro. I don't care. I really don't care anymore. I don't care about anything. Like I don't like some things that other people like it would break them. It doesn't break me, because I've seen it. I've seen it happen from the best. When you hear about J. Cole giving Jay-Z his album and then Jay-Z like signing him years later and he didn't even know that he had that CD years prior. It just goes to show you like it doesn't matter. Like if even if your idol doesn't respect you at that time, it doesn't mean they're never gonna respect you. It just means at this time you're not ready. Like everything happens within the right timing.
God damn. That's heavy, bro. That hits. That hits, man.
Bro. Sometimes it's like, and it's not like you shouldn't walk away when someone says no or it's not good enough. You shouldn't walk away and not like that person. You need to just go away and then you don't have to take it on board. Yeah, you don't have to take it on board and feel like you need to change everything. Like for me, I have heaps of like even like with the last song and people are like, like it doesn't work for this reason or that reason and it's too much of this or too much of that. But for me, it's like, you might be right for this situation. You could be right, but I don't need to do anything differently. Because like in my opinion, like I feel like that it's bigger than just a cool song that was out. For me, that was our DNA that was made in what's happening. It's like the DNA of who we are. That's bars and lyricism, and there's nothing catchy about it, really. And I know that, and people, yeah.
Speaking of like bars and lyricism, and the complete opposite of that, for instance, someone like Tyga, who you've opened up for, how does it feel to be to share that stage with that person that perhaps doesn't share the same values, though does it have that platform? Because I'm sure that must have been funny. A weird.
I didn't even really think about it from that point of view, because like what we did was very like we did our drip project, which is like very much influenced from like the 90s, like very boom bap sound. So it's like didn't really think about it like that. But for me, bro, I love all music, and obviously you can hear it in my music because like I've done tracks like One Thing on most of the time that's a bit more melodic, and it's like it's not rap, it's not it has elements, but it's like it's more of just a song. So for me, I appreciate everything. That's my thing. I always
speak on the One Thing. There's this line in the One Thing that says, if it's what's meant to be is meant to be, so I go and let it be.
Yeah. Sounds nice when you slow it down like that.
hey, thank you, bro. Maybe I should jump on the track next time, bro.
Yeah.
Hell no, bro.
It sounds real. But like, I mean, I think for me, I know I have little gems sprinkled within my music, and sometimes they're not gonna get appreciated right away, and sometimes it's just gonna hit differently at a certain point. Like, yeah, like what's meant to be is meant to be. Just let it be. It's just quite simple, really. Like, there's not you can't control everything. Once you realize you can't control everything, you just follow your path. Like if it's not meant to happen, it's not meant to happen.
So let it be.
Yeah, let it be. Like, don't try and change things. You don't need to change things to get what you want.
So within the last 12 months, because obviously you haven't been able to, you can only control the controllables within COVID. Well, like, what have been the biggest lessons throughout this whole 12 months of 2020 almost?
Probably just appreciation. Definitely, probably that, appreciating the little things. Just being grateful for them, and then coming out of it and doing more, in every way, in a balance in life too, like I should probably take a break sometimes, and just have that balance in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Now
it's about that, bro.
Now you're saying you're doing more. I've seen you shooting hoops with Nerve. Is there any potential collabs on the way, man?
Yeah, man. There's gonna be something. I think top of the year next year. We got a little me, Nerve, and Steve's got a little cipher that we cooked up with a brand. A brand's launching, a brand relaunch. It's gonna be epic. It's gonna be massive too, bro. This brand, I mean, it's an iconic brand. I'm just gonna say that. It's an
Right.
iconic brand, and it's coming. Like it's gonna be big. It's gonna be big again. Like, and I'm not talking about iconic, like just this is like 80s, 90s, like iconic, like all throughout the 90s, like Will Smith, Tupac wearing it. Like this is the brand. This is the type of brand I'm talking
I
about. Like
bet. I'm keen to see,
they
man.
actually was wearing this brand. So for me, it's like a lot of people say iconic and they use it loosely, but like this brand is like throughout hip hop, throughout like sports, it's known as a premier brand. So I'm just excited to be a part of it, man. I'm just super excited to be a part of it.
So it seems, well, it definitely appears, and from the sounds of it, that you have a long-term desire for legacy, man. Like for something
Yeah.
beyond your years when you're not even here. What does that legacy look like for you, man?
For me, I just want to be pivotal and instrumental into the growth of this city and this country scene. That's it. I don't need everyone to like my music. I never have, like, not from day dot. It's not music based, but within the music industry and the music scene and the opportunities that are given to the next artist, and what certain songs mean to some people and what certain songs mean to some artists, that's what's important to me. I'm not looking for everyone to like all my music, but I want my presence to be felt and be like, there'll be the 6 Degree Studios like 20, 30 years from now. And that kid can be like, I got this opportunity, and they know where it came from.
Why is that? Is that
they know that.
because you didn't have that growing up?
Yeah, 100%. It's because I didn't have it growing up, and I know that everyone's career as an artist is short-lived. It's here today and gone tomorrow. It might still be 15, 20-year career, but it still feels like it's here today and gone tomorrow. You don't want to ever feel like you lost your purpose in music once your career is done. So for me, I know my purpose is kept if there's a studio that a young artist can go to, a podcast that a young artist can go to, a cypher, a freestyle, where they have the means to keep creating, because it's not only about Kei Leeza today, but it's like about whoever Kei Leeza, the next Kei Leeza. It's about the next artist that's Kei Leeza. It's about the next artists that are coming through Brisbane, and that's what it's about. And it's about, hopefully, like, I do what I do, like, is based around the people I look up to. I look at someone like Nipsey, who had All Money In and the Marathon Clothing, and what he did with that, and with Jay-Z, with Rock Nation and Tidal. And I look at these things and I'm like, I hope another artist from Brisbane decides to open up a 6 Degree Studios of their own. It's not for me to have the only space in
There's
the
enough cake for everyone.
Yeah, it's enough for everyone, and everyone needs to flourish. It can't be one spot where everyone goes to. There needs to be like a lot going on. So there's never a competition thing with me. I don't look sideways and count other people's pockets or opportunities. I just want everyone to see the opportunities, and that's what it is.
Now, before we finish up the podcast, we're going to finish with a segment called the 4 questions. Before we do that, plug yourself, man. Where can people find you?
Right, you can find me everywhere at Kei Leeza, KeiLeeza, on everything: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. I mean, I got everything. I'm not on everything, but I got an account on everything. So yeah.
Likewise, you can find us at Rolling Up Entertainment everywhere. Now, the 4 final questions. Now, you can answer this in 1 sentence or less.
Okay.
Question 1: if you were to spend 1 hour in a recording studio with anyone, who would it be?
Damn. Right now, bro, probably Hit Boy.
All right.
Hit Boy, the producer, Hit Boy, yeah.
Question 2: what do you believe to be absolutely true, or something you believe that strongly that others may disagree with?
That people strongly disagree with.
Or something you believe in that's absolutely true.
What's that, sorry?
Something that you believe to be absolutely true.
Nothing's by chance. Nothing's by accident.
Question 3. I love that, man. Oh, I love that. I connect on that. I connect with that. Everything happens for a reason, bro.
Yeah,
Everything
bro.
happens for a reason. Question 3. What is the number one element of a leader?
Selflessness.
Fourth and final question. Finish this line. The person that provides me the most perspective in my life is
My missus, my partner.
love it, bro.
100%.
Boom.
Can't say anyone else.
Hey, if you found today's podcast entertaining, learned something, or got any type of value, share it with a friend. It helps spread the value and message. And likewise for Kei Leeza, when when people are asking what podcasts and music you're listening to, drop the name Rolling Up Entertainment. I appreciate you all. Peace and love. Let's roll up.
Peace.
Boom. That's us.
My man. I appreciate you.
Likewise, bro.